Are we live? People deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Good afternoon to those of you like myself in the UK. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night, depending on where you are. And whoever you are in this world, people, regardless, I hope you're doing well and safe. Please make sure you're hitting the like button as you enter, people. 200 likes is the target. Make sure you're checking out the pin message because obviously information for the DG merchandise is there. As I said, I hope you're doing well and safe. Please let the questions and all your opinions and all your thoughts, keep them coming. Do not be afraid to ask them. Now, we're going to get on to the Maitland-Niles business in a second, but really and truly, we'll be covering it a bit too early. And it's been a slow news day, really and truly. Not if you're a Chelsea fan. You know, Chelsea are being linked with Hakimi and Haaland. It seems like they're going to be aggressive in their pursuit of Haaland. It looks like, you know, Hakimi can be their player if they want him, as well as PSG's. I mean, you're seeing ambition from one club. It'd be lovely if our club was moving early and doing our bulk of our business fast. Hopefully there is a plan. Hopefully there is a way of doing things. Hopefully we can, at least by the end of the transfer market, at least sit there and say, okay, Arsenal have done some sort of business. We've done something. We can't really complain in that regards, but who knows? I would like to see more progress among the outgoings personally, if I'm honest with you. I don't think there's enough movement on that front. I know that Xhaka's one step away from Roma. Torreira's linked with a new club every day. It seems like a case of when, not if, of when Guendouzi will sign a new deal and also go to Marseille. So there is some progress, but for me, you know, you should be able to sell Xhaka. He's 28, 29 years of age. You know, you should be able to get a shot for him. You know, you should be able to sell Torreira. You know, he's not a bad player. You should be able to sell Guendouzi with his best years in front of him. What I want to see is how you're able to rid yourselves of the burden of a Willian. How you know, that's what I want to see. Make a decision over the El Nenes, the Lacazettes, and all of these people in general, not show any sentiment, really. Let's make business decisions. Let's make calculated decisions, you know, because it does feel that we make a lot of emotional decisions. It's almost like a play crash. There's never been a more important summer to make necessary changes. Will we? It's an age-old question. I don't know. Please make sure you're hitting that like button, people. Nice to see you lot are slowly but surely filtering in. Princess said, I wanted to get some business done before the Euros, but that is looking unlikely now. If anything, probably Xhaka completing his move to Roma. Allegedly, that's going to happen this week. Whether it does happen is a completely new thing. Good afternoon, DG. Hope you're well. Big up yourself, Tino. I ain't seen you in a hot second. I don't know where you've been, but, you know, no doubt you've been handling business, so it is what it is. And Omar said, big up, DG. Good to see you again. It's good to see you guys again, man. Mad thing has just said, you know, just put the Jamaica and the English flag. Shout out to all the JA ones out there. What's good, DG? I'm good, man. I was with you lot earlier, streaming with you lot earlier. Today, it's a bit more withdrawn, really. It's a slow news day. I'm feeling a bit knackered now. This is the second live stream, third of all day, and I've had some other things to do, but we keep moving, we keep progressing. I chose this, so I have to follow it through and whatnot, man. The handling of Maitland-Niles shows a problem with Arteta's management style. I hear it, but I think, yeah, man, you know what? You actually have a lot of right with there. Do you know what? We've sat there and said that with Saliba, with Maitland, and a few, but yeah, man, it is what it is. Brian has said, DG, blessings, my man, tuning in from New York. Shout out to you. Shout out to all the Americans locked in. DG, big up, DG. Hope your mental health is okay. Always good, man. Always steady, man. I'm always good. I hope everybody else is in a good state of mind. If not, then please speak to someone. Too much talking from Maitland-Niles for me. A lot of people are tired with the chatting. Cute Corporation is just saying he's ready for the Euros. Willock's future is clear by Arteta, so why isn't the same with Maitland? Because he fancies Joe Willock for once in his team, and I'm indirectly going to cover that in a second. Chase Gold has said, back again for some more quality content. I appreciate that. Old channels just come in with the people. Tino, only windows opening for Arsenal are the ones in Edu's office. Harsh from Peter. Shout all the members locked in as well. You know, that one they hurt, man. I'd enjoy that joke a bit better if I wasn't an Arsenal fan. Don't know whether to laugh or cry upon seeing that. Shout out to the Twitch ones as well. We're at 32 likes. Let's keep moving. Let's keep progressing, people. Gonna get into that in a business. So yeah, man. Let's crack on with the 1-2 bits, man. Let's crack on with the transfer gossip and things, but I'm all over the place, people. I actually need to make a literal timestamp. You know me, I love a good timestamp, man. Timestamps. Let's go with transfer rumours. Let's go with that first. Sorry, people, I'm a bit over the place, but let's go out. Let's go with the rumours that are actually here, people. You know, we've covered a lot of rumours earlier. Please make sure you check out the live stream from earlier, people. But what have we got here? Obviously, first things first, you know, DG merch and that. Come on, gotta be shameless and plug. I told you, now it's finally starting to filter through, people. Obviously, you got the new content there. Obviously, the new products are starting to be there. Look, we got prestige hoodies and that you can get that in bare different colors. Come on, I got the grey one. So yeah, you lot do up that one. You know, links are there. So yeah, man, let's crack on with what have we got here. We spoke about this guy before, people. According to an Italian publication, we're being linked with the 21-year-old winger MIDFIELD, people, which again he's been linked with AC Milan, who have moved. Apparently, it's gone on to say Arsenal interested in signing Amin Adli, but AC Milan have already agreed personal terms with the Toulouse forward. The Gunners are among a clutch of clubs who have sounded out Adli's situation in recent months. Leicester City, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, and Marseille are all also keen on the 21-year-old gem. However, AC Milan have moved to the front of the queue after reaching an agreement with Adil over personal terms. Technical director Paolo Maldini and sporting director Federic Messara are now intent to negotiate a lower fee with Toulouse. Again, as like I said, I'm getting quite tired, people. As you lot know here, Adil has attracted interest from across Europe after being one of the stars of Toulouse last season. He was named League Two's Player of the Year after scoring 8 goals and getting 7 assists in 33 games. And he's a man that's been on the scenes for a while. Like you lot know, people, he's a former France international at under 18s level. He can play on the flanks as well as through the middle. He's someone we know. At 21 years of age, you could do a lot worse. I do think he can develop and progress into a better player, but that's a decent price tag, people. And Toulouse are looking to raise funds, especially because he's a player that's contracted for a year. So, you know, it doesn't say anything allegedly for Arsenal's interest. They've literally just put our name there. You know, there's no mention of has Edu watched him or anything like that. It's just said a deal would be very challenging for him because obviously AC Milan have agreed terms. So make of that one what you will. In relation to Matteo Guendouzi, people, expectation club can sign Arsenal midfielder for less than 15 million. It's been made clear repeatedly in France that Marseille want to sign Arsenal's Matteo Guendouzi. And the 22-year-old wasn't included in the plans last season. Apparently, it's claimed the player has reached an agreement with the League One club, but the latter must find an agreement with Arsenal. His fate depends on this. According to claims, Guendouzi's move to Marseille is still subject to negotiations with the Premier League side. Arsenal want to cut ties with Guendouzi, who still has a year left on his contract with them. A fee of less than 15 million is expected for Marseille to complete his deal. So that's where we're at in relation to Matteo, people. So there isn't much transfer news, as I said, people. It's a slow news day and things like that. So yeah, man. A man said, love from Abu Dhabi. Big up yourself. I appreciate that. Daniel said, big up yourself, DG. Haven't caught you on live since that terrible season ended. Fair play. DG, I'm back again. I appreciate that. Can you collab with Saeed? I have collabed with Saeed before. And I appreciate him for doing such. And I got a lot of time for him, man. That's my guy still. So maybe when the time comes and there's something of relevance to speak about, then we will get into that. But other than that, there's no need in it, really and truly. Shout out to him. He's pushing out the boundaries. He's growing his YouTube channel and doing good things. Like I said, there's no need to spam the same question. Whoever is spamming up the place, you know, a lot of people like to be too inner. Yes, DG, your consistency of content is unmatched. I appreciate that. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. So let's get into the bulk of this sort of stuff now, people. This is what I tried to copy and paste that initially from Ainsley Maitland-Niles, but we can leave that because I've got the Daily Mail's take on it allegedly. So yeah, in relation to Maitland-Niles, I know he's a name that a lot of people will have an opinion for. Tino said, I can't lie, I do think Arteta rates Maitland as a right back, but as a centre mid, he ain't good enough there. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Guendouzi, etc. is indicative of bad recruitment and bad practices. To be fair, I don't think Guendouzi was bad recruitment. He's a young player with the potential to do a lot more, and he's been called up to the France squad. It's just his attitude has messed it up for him. For Maitland-Niles, potentially bad practices and whatnot, I agree in that regards. My guy DG, big up you, big you up, man. Turn this on straight from work. I appreciate that. Once again, you don't stop spamming, you get a block. And my man's had to get the block. If the question you're asking in the live chat, if you followed me quite frequently, you would know where the answer. I'm not going to answer stupid questions. Big up DG. Everybody run up the like and get in here. Let's carry on with this Maitland-Niles business. I will kiss Arsenal goodbye. Ainsley Maitland-Niles makes a stunning public admission as he asks Mikel Arteta to play or sell him and says he's done enough to have other clubs interested in me. Now, obviously, the Daily Mail and the headlines are not going to be kind to him. So let's stick to exactly what he said or allegedly hasn't said, people. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has urged Arsenal to give him clarity over his future, admitting it may be time to kiss goodbye to his beloved club if they don't see him as part of their plans next season. 100% can't disagree with what he said. Now, we know he was sold. We know, loaned out to West Bromwich Albion temporarily. We know he has to return at least temporarily, if anything, to Arsenal in the summer. But allegedly, he has admitted he is none the wiser about his situation in North London and having not received any contact from Arteta or Edu regarding their plans for him. Other teams want him as a right back, not as a centre mid. You never know. You never know. I think you're right in that his adaptability will go against him. He will have to fill in both roles, but you never know. I must admit, the higher he goes up, probably they more want him as a right back than a centre mid, but we don't know it for true. All I do know is he's 23 years of age now. This whole being part of the team, going through spells where you're at right back or spells in the West Bromwich Albion team, you need to make progress now. You're 23. You need some stability. You need some consistency. And if it isn't going to happen at Arsenal, for Arsenal fans, for the club, for Maitland and the gaffer, let's keep it moving. And I can't lie, I don't think Arteta rates him, if I'm completely honest, through the middle. And I can say that's unfair. And I can say there's reasons why he's been backed up. Because West Bromwich Albion, let's be real, he didn't. It's not that he was poor. He had a good loan spell, but he didn't stand out to warrant getting a look in midfield. It's not always about goals, because I don't think when you look at Joe Willock past the goals, on the ball, the numbers and what he was doing wasn't amazing, people. So it's not a thing like that. But it's like, what sort of midfielder are you? It's not that you failed to adapt, but it's like you just didn't stand out really in centre mid. And I think you might get an opportunity, because apart from Thomas Partey, there's speculation over all midfielders, including you. Like, you and Joe might be sold. You two might be kept on as we look to deal with the futures of El Nene, Torreira, Guendouzi, and everyone else who should be dealt with. But you're 23, it's time to settle down roots. Arteta has described his capabilities as being able to play in midfield, but there's got to be a reason he's not so fit. Clearly, he sees you as a fullback. If you see yourself as a midfielder, then you need to leave the club permanently, because it isn't going to happen here. He went on to say, if I was to get a phone call from someone at Arsenal and they said they'd like a meeting tomorrow, then it would be easier that way. They can tell me where they've got plans to play me in the future, or if they want to sell me. I've heard they want to make some space in the squad and some money, so I'm not sure. Obviously, for me, if you're giving an interview like this, then I think you've more or less kissed your Arsenal career goodbye, because, again, it's all about language. Now, I do think Maitland-Niles is going to be misunderstood. I do think he's going to be misunderstood. I do think his words can be potentially taken out of context. I think he's perfectly fine in saying this, but by the flip side, people could perceive this interview as arrogance. People could perceive this as building bridges. And it's not actually smart, and it's not the smartest decision to do, in my opinion. So for me, you can just tell he's frustrated. For me, this tells me what we already knew, and that we was going to leave. Obviously, his move on loan was designed to put himself in the shop window. I'm not going to say he hasn't done that, because apparently Crystal Palace are looking at him. You know, Crystal Palace, we rejected 25 million from Wolves. There will be clubs interested in him. But I think he needs to make a decision. Am I a centre mid or am I a right back? And either one, make a decision to that. I think he needs to make peace with the fact that his adaptability, you can be a jack of all trades, master of none, but his adaptability is going to kill him. You will have to play left and right, but you're a manager's dream. Someone that's a centre, obviously you want to play one position and then I can do a job at fullback. That's where the problem with Maitland-Niles has come. It's not a thing where we know you're a fullback, but you're able to play in midfield, or you're a midfielder able to play right back. The lines are very blurred. I think that's where we need clarity, and you take it from there. He also said, and I don't blame him, he's allowed to do this. He said, I want a decision. He should. You know, if you want to keep me, cool, I can fight and have a look in midfield. I got a bit of confidence from West Bromwich Albion. He deserves clarity. We all deserve clarity. You know, he said, I want a decision. I want some clarity. And then hopefully I can get to work with whoever I need to get to work with, whether that's finding a new club or whether that is on carrying on with my training. He needs that. You know, he needs that. And I think he's fully facts in what he said. I'd like some kind of indication what is happening, where they, Arsenal, see me. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then kiss Arsenal goodbye. It's been a long journey, but a proud one at that. And that's true. You know, you've come through the academy, 23 years of age, played Premier League, won an FA Cup, been capped for England. That's the dream of what we're trying to do at Halen. You know, things are different now. We need to make hard decisions. So if our relationship needs to end, that's cool. Go elsewhere, people. It is what it is in that regards. And as you lot can see here, people, apparently Wolves, Newcastle and Brighton retain an interest in him. I do think it's a bit wrong from the club. But what I believe is that because Arsenal's transfer market is so fragmented, or our plans, you know, they can tell us we've got a plan, we're ready, this and that. There's too much speculation over several players' futures. How can you really tell him? Because, you know, it's got to be this. I'm going to get onto it, but it's got to be the same for Joe. It's got to be the same for Joe, for Guendouzi to a degree, for Torreira. We don't know what the club's doing. On one hand, we need to sell before we can bring in. If we bring in certain midfielders, you might not have a look. If a right back comes in, which should, with Chambers' emergence and Cedric on paper, where is Maitland-Niles? Admittedly, I would like Maitland-Niles to stay, man. I think there's a lot more growth to do. I think he's a good player in the squad. He's a homegrown player. But arguably, we need to be cruel to be kind. So anybody that doesn't want to be here or thinks they can try anything elsewhere, we have to let them go. And also, you know, Maitland-Niles, Joe Willock, one of the two or both of them, or these sort of players are where we're going to raise our funds, because the other players just simply aren't good enough, people. And I think he's fully within his rights to want a decision and want some clarity, because he's got his own future. I'll get onto it. I was going to make a point, but I'll probably get onto it. It is a bit damning that nobody has spoken to him. Again, you'd at least hope at base level, the manager would have had some talk with him, maybe Edu or some sort of coaching coordinator, because he must have been thinking, yeah, I'm going to put myself in the shop window to leave Arsenal, but also, okay, cool, with every good game, are Arsenal looking at this? What's going on? How am I featuring in? Would have been nice to have some contact with the player. Like you did hear Smith Rowe at Huddersfield had contact with Arteta. Why has there been no contact with Ainsley Maitland-Niles? To be fair, there's been no contact from with Joe. I don't know if the loan manager's been making contact. He hasn't said such. Well, to be fair, he did say there was contact from some of the medical team. So it is what it is. But we need to make a decision with Maitland-Niles. He needs to ask himself, honestly, does he believe he's going to get games here, right back, centre mid, wherever? Does he believe this is the best place for him to grow? And I think Arteta has to be honest with not only him, but Joe Willock as well. Balogun's staying, but also Balogun, tell these players where exactly they're at, where they see you. Open up the door to be proven wrong, but open the door to doing other things. I don't think we're honest with players enough, and that's why we get these situations a lot. You know, tell Saliba where you see him and get something done last summer. It is what it is in that regard. But moving on, his loan was backed up. He played 15 times. Like I said, he didn't set the world alight. Produced a number of impressive displays in midfield. Yeah, he did. He was part of some good team performances. He did have some very good games, man. Burnley was decent. But again, his end product is where he needs to improve. Apparently, he has insisted he has done enough to attract interest from elsewhere this summer if his time at Arsenal is up. I think you would attract interest because your name is Ainsley Maitland-Niles and you've done well in the game so far. I don't know if just off of that, maybe someone will look at you and think we could take a chance. I don't know if just off the West Bromwich Albion performances, it's enough to tip the balance of any club. But fair play, I like the self-belief. He said, and I like it because he's 23. He's not 19. He needs to be selfish. Him, Eddie, Nelson, half of them every young player in and amongst that team needs to be selfish. They need to be able to ask themselves a year from now, have I developed enough as a footballer? And you're not going to do it without playing substantially for guys of this period. He said, you have to get your head around what you might not want to hear and be prepared if that's the case. There is a saying, silence is deafening Ainsley Maitland-Niles, so you might have to take heed of this. But what I get from this is that the man is desperate for an Arsenal opportunity, you know, in my opinion. But again, if I get my way, we're signing a midfielder. So immediately it's Partey and him. I would like a number 8 and a 6. So that's 4 man playing ahead of you. I would like Ainsley to stay in the squad. I think him and Chambers, them two there with the roles they can play and part of a 25-man squad is decent. Equally, I'm on selling him. I do think Ainsley Maitland-Niles has been misunderstood for a while, but it is what it is. I just don't think he's developed enough. Like, you're a midfielder, but specifically, what are you? I know you've got legs, but are you box to box, deep lying, creative? I don't know what you are. You know, you just look like a football at this moment in time. Obviously, you haven't been given opportunities there, but it is what it is. Even in the end product, specifically when he's played midfield in the final third, it ain't been there. Big up GG, keep grinding. I appreciate that super chat, my guy. Thank you very much, man. God bless you for that one. I like him because he's understanding things are getting real. I can't lie. A lot of these youngsters, I think they've been a bit naive and fed the lies of the club and been a bit guilty of being at the club, but not at the club. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're training, you're playing occasionally in the cup, but you're not part of the team like that. You know, you're not playing 20, 30 Premier League games. If the manager's job's on the line, he's not throwing you in. And with Maitland-Niles, he goes through these patches, more so when we went free at the back. 1 minute he's in the team at left back, then he's right back, then he's not in the team at all. And you know, there must be something he isn't doing in training as well. As much as I think it's more Arteta not rating you, I have to say that. But I rate what he said. You have to get your head around what you might not want to hear and be prepared if that's the case. Be a man about the situation. If it's not going to work there, then there's always other clubs that will take you. And I'd like to think I've done enough in the Premier League in the last half of the season to have other clubs interested in me. You know, you will have other interests, and it is what it is. You know, if you can't play here, go play elsewhere. He also went on to say, while he has admitted his frustration over his Arsenal future, he also revealed his dismay at being looked by England in recent times, having been snubbed for the Euros. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you didn't do a damn thing to get called up for the Euros. Let's stop taking a piss a bit. It's a difficult one for me to swallow. He's not been able to add to 5 caps because the back end of last season, I put in a couple of performances in the cup in the final. Then after the break, we had another final in the Community Shield, which led to my call up not too long after that. Then a couple of months after it all died down, I wasn't playing anymore. So it was strange, very strange. And I must admit, you know, it was a bit of a shocker when you was called up to the England team. But I'd say this again, showing naivety. You know, we don't know why Southgate called you up. Did he call you up because he rated the performance, which I think is true? Did he call you up because he wanted to look at you? Did he call you up because he wanted to play a free at the back? Did he call you up because certain bodies weren't available? Again, the manager's job is to pick the best performing England players, and you were on his radar, especially with the fullbacks. You didn't do enough at West Bromwich Albion. You cost yourself. For me, Arsenal probably should have sold you to Wolves, or you should have pushed to leave on loan or leave permanently after that Community Shield, because we've reverted back to type. And again, for me personally, we need to stop these stories. It might be the right or wrong decision to keep Ainsley or sell Ainsley. But again, with Ainsley, with Joe, with the slightly older players in El Nene, Lacazette, all of these players, it just looks like we don't want to make the harsh decisions. They're 1 foot in, 1 foot out with every good performance. You know, they might not be, they might look like they're on their way out, as Ainsley Maitland-Niles did last year up until that Community Shield. But this is what it is, people. This is what you didn't stand out at West Brom. And, you know, would I pick you for England at right back ahead of the right backs in the squad? No. Would I pick you at left back ahead of them? No. Midfield is a bit gazy. Currently, would you get in midfield ahead of them? No. But I understand if you know, it seems like he's kind of upset that he's not had any dialogue, I assume, with Gareth Southgate and people working. Hit the like button, by the way, people. By Gareth Southgate or people working on Gareth Southgate's behalf. The same goes for Arsenal. And I think you're right in that. But at the same time, you need to remember you're 23. Things are real now. This ain't academy football where everyone's going to go, there, Maitland. Nobody cares. Nobody cares until you're playing well. Nobody cares about Foden in the footballing sense. I'm sure he's got a loving family. They care about his footballing ability. They don't care about Phil Foden, the man. The same goes for Saka. The same goes for Greenwood. The same goes for all of them. You know, they don't care. It's a relationship of convenience. No, you're in the real world now. You're fighting with how many man? You're not special in that regards. You've been overlooked because you ain't played. It's not that you've played badly. You ain't stood out. Like, come on. You know, for me, you are to blame for your first half of your season. Arteta's to blame because he didn't play you, but you're to blame for your first half of the season. You should have forced the move. You know, you forced it in January. I rate you and Joe Willett because you lot wanted to go play football and you've enhanced your reputation somewhat. You look at Eddie, what were you doing? Nelson, what were you doing? You ended the season with 70 minutes. He also said, it was so difficult to take. You get called up for England, play regular football for your club, get to an England camp, then it all disappears. You're not playing for either. This is what it gets to. Ainsley, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You was at Arsenal doing your thing, always playing a year above. You know, you was always called up. I swear you're an under-20 World Cup winner as well with England. But you're not special anymore. None of that meat. There's 1,000. There's how many players in the league? There's how many players eligible to play for England? You know, yeah, I'm sure it feels unfair. But you've got 5 caps. Some man only get 1. Some man get called up on form, don't even get to play for England, and they're done at it. You know, this is real life. If you want to play for England, you want to play for us. Arsenal's different because I don't think the manager rates you. But England, go out there and show it. You know, I think you've got. I like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think he's got potential. You know, but it's down to him. I think he needs to find balance with his nonchalant style. I think his calmness on the ball is his greatest strength, arguably his greatest weakness. If you're going to play in midfield, what I've seen at West Bromwich Albion, you've got to improve in the final third. You don't need to be a goal-scoring midfielder, but you need to improve in the final third. Sam Allardyce has said that, people. So it is, but this is real life. Nobody cares. This is sad. No one cares, you know. And big up Ainsley Maitland-Niles. You can leave with your head held high. You've played 121 times. You've won 2 FA Cups. You've come from the academy. You've played for the country. You have done what the whole. You've been part of the first team. If Wenger would say, I think you play more. You have done what we want our academy players to do. But sometimes that is where it is done, people. That is where it's done. That is where it's done. You know. He's got to do something in that regards. But you look at it, let's go with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Let's try and see some other articles, people. Like, I do think he feels a bit insecure. I do get the vibe that he's a bit naive. I do get the vibe that he's been hard done by. But what I think he's done, what I think is sad is that he's not been given any dialogue. Has he been speaking to the loan manager? Has he had you'd at least expect the technical director to have some sort of conversations with him. But it hasn't been the case. It absolutely hasn't been the case. And for me, you know, he's got 2 years left. The fact that you've got 2 years left, you've played for England, you're 23 years of age, and you've not had any conversation, it tells you everything. Sometimes silence is deafening. And for me, be proactive. Again, like I said, he screams like a naive guy begging for his chance at Arsenal, really wants it, and he's having to bite the bullet to realize, all right, cool, it's real life now. I've got to move. You know, obviously to a degree, I must admit, while I feel sympathy for him, his future probably depends on what happens a lot. Now, I would like the club, obviously, to double down and say, boom, all right, cool. You know, we're going to, you know, Maitland, let's just say, for argument's sake, Maitland, Joe, Bellerin, you man are gone. This is what we're doing. Decide your future. We're trying to sell players. This is what we're doing. But arguably, like you look at them, you know, this person could probably be sold, but he probably won't be moving on until we bring in players. And I do believe that with Joe and Maitland-Niles. So his future is probably dependent on what happens elsewhere. It seems right now the goal is to get Xhaka moved off, potentially Torreira to Lazio as well. Then you might see some progress. For me, is it bad? This is a question for you lot. Is it bad he's had no contact allegedly with people at Arsenal? The loan manager, Ben Napier, Arteta, Edu, and I think that's where Arteta maybe needs to learn a bit from his old manager, Wenger, in that Wenger would always talk to players, whether they were at the top or the bottom. You know, Carlo Ancelotti the other day, was it Sami Khedira? You know, when was the last time Carlo and him worked together? He sat there and he said, I really remember when he called me when I was injured. And you've sent a 23-year-old man to West Bromwich Albion. Like I said, he doesn't really need to be cool because things are getting real. You want to play, go and play. But at the same time, you would like a bit more conversation. And for me, I also, to a degree, I believe, Ainsley, whether you're not a priority of the club, you know, especially when you look at all the loanees. To a degree, I believe you make yourself a priority. You know, all the things Maitland-Niles isn't talking about, you make yourself giving clarity. You make yourself giving all these things he wanted. While I think he's allowed to be aggrieved, you make yourself it. You know, Saliba's a bit different, but the way he's been playing at Nice, you can't avoid dealing with that in the summer. And what are you seeing? Is he playing or not? You know, it's a bit different. But Daniel Ballard, he's already being linked with a move back to Blackpool, or the Championship because of the good loan spell he's had. There's clarity over his future. Saliba's is a bit muddled, but you'd bet your bottom dollar there's a season there. I do think people are overestimating how good of a season Joe Willock's had, and don't take 2 and 2 and get 5. Fantastic season, scoring great goals, but he's not going to return the Messiah. You know, some of these goals, you look at the whole 90 minutes, he's been a bit shaky, and you still haven't learned anything in relation to his ball playing ability. as reflected by the numbers as well as the eyes. Like I said, he had a good loan spell. But what's the difference? You can't ignore Joe Willock. You can't ignore it. He's been scoring goals. He's been playing well. He's made an impact. He's made himself a priority. Whether you give him a new deal, whether you sell him, whether you loan him out again, he has been made. You make him that. You make yourself a priority. And I would also say, obviously, his agent is working, but I can't lie. If I moved agencies, and I'm saying I ain't heard no dialogue from the club, there's no clarity over my future, I've got 2 years left. What the hell are you? What are you paying your agent for? Your agent is meant to be doing all of this. Now, I think he's talking indirectly in the press to engineer a move because of his agent. But what's your agent for? You know, your agent needs to force the move. Your agent needs to force clarity. This is what is your agent doing for you, Ainsley? You know, I hear what you're saying, but your agent should have clarity. Your agent should know what the club is doing, you know. Balogun's agent, before he signed that deal, I can guarantee indirectly he probably knows already what they're doing with Eddie and them man there, you know. You make it. What is your agent doing? Like you said, you're an England international now. You're 23 years of age. What's your agent doing? You force the contact. Be unbearable, and this is where you need agents to work their bottom dollar. So what's your agent doing? I'm not saying he is or isn't doing anything. I just say, what's your agent doing? Because if I'm an agent and my client is out here saying that, personally, what the fuck my agent doing? Like, my agent should be, yo, my guy's played 15 times now at West Bromwich Albion. You lot need to sell players because you lot are out of Europe. What are you lot doing with your team? And how does it affect my client? If Arteta says, cool, you know what? I want him back at pre-season. Come and show that you should be given an opportunity. You know, I'm not going to rule. I don't think Maitland-Niles is right now is first choice quality or first team quality in midfield, but he could do a job. You know, El Nene was given a chance, done his thing. Chambers had a chance prior to his injury, got one after, done his thing. Even Eddie Nketiah had a chance where he come back from Leeds. It was looking gazy at Leeds because he didn't even have a loan spell like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He didn't do much at Leeds. At a point, he was keeping more senior strikers out of the team. So it can be done. But this is where, once again, his agent, yo, my guys had a loan. Joe's had a good loan. You want to sell Xhaka in this. Where do you see my client? Is he going to only play right back for you? Is he playing centre mid? Is he in the halfway house? Do you want to see him at pre-season? Do you want him out? I don't know. Obviously, what complicates things is that he's not a homegrown. I mean, he's a homegrown talent, so that complicates a lot of things. But we'll have to see. Apparently, we haven't even cleared 100 likes. We're only on 99. You lot are doing me dirty, people. You know, you lot are gonna only get the one live streams in the future. From now on, I can't sit here and cap. But it is what it is in relation to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Like I said, let me scroll down here because I did see some comments. He spoke about the medical team or whatever. But this is a man that, for me, he badly wants to play for Arsenal, but it's an issue. And for me, it's a bit upsetting if he said, if I was to get a phone call from someone at Arsenal and they said they'd like a meeting tomorrow, it would be easier that way. For me personally, again, your agent should be forcing that. Your agent should be saying, no, we are having a meeting on end of the season. I want a meeting. Where do you see my guy? I don't care what you lot are saying. Talk to your analytical team, your data analysts. Get where you get the performance data, get the match reviews of what I've been doing at West Bromwich Albion. Have your personal opinion. We're going to sit down in the summer and speak about this. Tell me your plans. Tell me where we stand. Joe Willock should be doing the same. I've had a good loan at Newcastle. Where do you see me, Gaffer? Am I going to get game time? I don't know, people. So it is what it is in that regards. And for me, while it's an agent thing, and I think Ainsley could force the issue, I think that's quite disgraceful and very reactive. It tells you that Ainsley isn't a priority. So on top of everything, 2 years left, you're not a priority. There's an issue. There's an issue there in my humble opinion. But for Arsenal, it doesn't look good, you know. When Emre came, Ainsley Maitland-Niles name dropped. Arteta, Ainsley Maitland-Niles name dropped, you know. And again, we talk about a touch of class. Again, obviously the season's just finished, but the fact that there is no meeting scheduled, I think that's quite appalling. You'd have thought, at least with all these loan players, you'd have thought Arteta, the loan manager and everybody and the agent, they'd all sit down and say, how do you think you fared? Where do you think you're at? All of these sort of things. So for the fact that he's asking in the Telegraph for a meeting, it tells you everything. And for me, I do think indirectly this builds bridges. And for me, I have to wonder, are Edu and Arteta approachable? Are they able to get hold of people? Because I'm not really seeing the warmth that Arsenal used to have, especially for these young players. And like he said here, once again, circling back over it, they can tell me whether they've got plans to play me in the future if they want to sell me. So he doesn't know where he stands. You know, he could think he had the worst loan spell, the best loan spell. He doesn't know where he stands. And I'm sure that's one thing is due. That we have to tell people where they stand. You tell a man where he stands, then it's his prerogative what he wants to do. I can't lie, it is a bit of shocking man management from Arteta, and there is too many of these aspects, people. But we do need to remember the bulk of Arsenal's first team and people are on holiday and doing things like, I think Edu's in Portugal. So again, and the season has, I say the season's just done, it's over a month. But again, you know, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you're not a priority. Selling you or keeping you should be a priority, but we're trying to deal with bringing in some creativity. It looks like we're on the work of moving people in. There's a lot of pressure in addressing areas. In the grand scheme of things, as much as Ainsley being kept can impact and mean so can make money, you're not a priority. You're actually not a priority. And this is how the real world works. It's as harsh as that, people. But he seems, for me, I just get the impression that he's a young man, badly wants to play for Arsenal Football Club, reluctantly just seeing real life for what it is and stuff like that. But the one thing I'd say, what's your agent doing, bro? For me, you know, if you're saying you'd like a meeting, ain't your agent meant to make sure that's happening? That's just me. I don't think it's a thing of his attitude or anything like that, personally. But it is what it is in that regards, man. You need to be selfish. And what I'd say is don't let the club gas you. Don't ask honest questions, because you probably were, you know, fell for the naive lies Arteta probably told you before about playing you. And where did it get you, really? You know, you need to, you know, your big Sam has said play anywhere, and maybe he's taking heed of that advice and on playing anywhere. If he's on playing anywhere, provided he's going to be given suitable opportunities, I'm sure Arteta would say that. Like I said, Callum Chambers and Ainsley Maitland-Niles, the problem is we've got too many guys that could be squad players, but them two, obviously, if you earn your spot, you earn your spot. But them two could be sound additions, you know. I wouldn't play Chambers in midfield, but he can be used there. He can play right back. He can play centre half. Ainsley can play in a couple of roles. The problem is, are you going to get proper game time? There's only 40 games at this moment in time up for grabs, really, assuming we don't go through in the cup competitions, people. Maitland-Niles speaks. So yeah, man, that's that. What are you lot saying in relation to Ainsley Maitland-Niles, man? Arteta did dirty on Ainsley Maitland-Niles when he convinced him not to go to Wolves last summer, and this is where I'm not gonna lie. I rate Arteta for that, because for me, when I take off my non-Arsenal cap and put on my youth hat, of course he's done him dirty. But promises are a comfort to a fool, you know. He could have promised you anything, this and that, but things change. You had your heart set on Wolves. That was where you could have got more football. Go and do it. Don't get gassed off winning a cup and all of these things. Go and do that. If I'm Arteta, that's Arteta's prerogative. Whether he plays 10 games or not, you can't keep players happy. And whether he plays 10 or 30, to know I have someone that can utilize them roles if needed, I would want to keep him. That's where Ainsley Maitland-Niles has got to be selfish. Don't let the club gas you. Don't let the manager gas you. Don't stay in this comfortable hey lens sort of thing. Go and force a move. Go and develop. Even Joe, for years I've said Joe should go out on loan. He's not playing. He's getting too gassed off being at Arsenal. He's got Newcastle. He's shown what he can do. And for Ainsley and Joe, once you get that consistent football, that buzz of it, you can't go back. So I do think Arteta did him dirty, but he also did himself dirty. He did himself dirty. Look at Yunus Musa. You know, to be fair, it's not the same, but Arsenal was playing him and Miguel Aziz as school kids in the under-18s. I'm sure they promised him a path to the first team, you know. He could have stayed. He's been at Arsenal for a minute. Instead, Valencia were like, we're going to do this, that, and the other. Now, the heart was probably telling that young man to stay. He bust out. Now, look. You know, he recently won a cup with America. He's an American international and he's going from strength to strength in La Liga. The problem with youth football or young footballers nowadays, they listen to the lies the clubs tell. The club will tell you anything. And I know this because I talk to people in and around the scene. You know, clubs will tell young players anything. That's their prerogative. They don't want to let people go. You need to make the harsh decisions. And for Eddie and Joe, they've been on the cusp of the first team far too long, in my humble opinion. Nelson, the same. You know, don't listen to the club. Listen to the numbers. Man can say they rate you. If you've only played 5 games out of a 38-game calendar, you don't rate, man. It's not a thing where, I don't know, if I'm Phil Foden, you know, and Silva's there in his prime and all them prime City players historically are there and I've only played 5 times, then I'm like, cool, because it's an impossible one. But if you're telling me you rate me, I can do this and that, and I've only played 5 times, bro, the numbers don't lie, you know. Numbers don't lie. You know, if you're telling me that I've only played 5 times and then 5 times I ain't played twice in a row, you know, I'm just about touching 90 minutes. That tells me everything. Numbers don't lie. Good backup. But I think Ainsley needs to understand there's no divine rights in football. You're not given. I don't think he wants to be given anything, but it is coming across as woe is me to a slight degree. E.g., I get the impression that Edu and Arteta are not as approachable as they should be, always leaving things to the last minute. I don't think that's in terms of being approachable. I think that's in terms of competency. And the problem is, what I would say to Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well, things can change. Opinions can change. You know, him, Mavropanos, I think everybody should be given an opportunity in pre-season to show what they're on. But at the same time, are we naive enough to believe his opinion has changed on these players? Like, really and truly, his opinion ain't changed on Joe. It ain't changed on Maitland. It ain't changed on Saliba. It's not changed on a lot of these guys, you know, rightly or wrongly, or it's not changed dramatically, you know. So it's a difficult decision. Ainsley Maitland-Niles needs to listen to his heart and then think with his brain, because that won't lie to you. Do what you need to. You want to play for England, right? You want to play. He wants to play for England, right? What's the best decision? How are you more likely to get an opportunity for England? Playing regularly or whatever? Maybe the Arsenal bias came into it with the Community Shield call up, but I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's a bit of a madness. Arteta man management is shocking. Sometimes I believe that as well. Our club is in shambles. I want that ownership takeover ASAP. This 2 billion bid needs to go through. Even the players don't know where they stand. And again, I hear you, because a real owner puts pressure on, you know, to sort out futures. In the same way I said, you know, if you bring in a lone man like Williams, and a real owner justified that. Because if Thiago Silva didn't work out, Roman is going to say, what'd you make me bring this guy for? You know, if you make me spend big money, what'd you make me bring this guy for? You know, there's not enough accountability at this football club, self-accountability, and is what it is. Arteta doesn't know what he's doing. Harsh, but I can't say anything. Arteta is the one to blame, I think. To be fair, 100%, because Ainsley needs to think. Like, it's a game of opinions, bro. Do you know how many times us as fans were saying you're not perfect, but you and Cedric should have got opportunities ahead of Bellerin? Now, if Bellerin isn't there, fair play. But what does that tell you? The manager plays favourites. The manager can be inconsistent with like one rule for one guy and the next rule for a next man. Every manager does that. I'm not necessarily getting at Arteta with that, but all of this in mind, considering that you haven't heard any talk from the club, you know, maybe you know, he spoke a lot in that about hearing things you don't want to hear. Maybe you've heard something you don't want to hear. Maybe you're fighting against it, because it does feel like you're hopelessly hoping that Arteta says, you know what, you're part of my first team, which we all would love. But equally, I would love to have my club back, and I think harsh decisions need to be made. And I've done videos about this before. I think Arsenal Football Club needs to stop this love drama. You look through that whole 25-man squad, and there's bare man with stories like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. You know, there's Ainsley, there's Lacazette, there's El Nene, there's Chambers, you know, even Saliba, is he going or staying on loan? You know, Bellerin, is he staying or going? Holding signed a new deal, but remember a few months before that, it looked like he could leave, or the start of the season. You know, Leno is still here. Xhaka is still here on paper. There's too many halfway in, halfway outs. Willian is still here. What's going on? It's a madness. It's an absolute madness in that regard. Make sure you're hitting the like button if you haven't already. Arteta is not a football manager. He's got the mindset of a captain, a bad one at that too. I mean, he's literally employed as a football manager. What's with the Ben Napier watching closely with all the loan players? Then Pro, I don't know. Because he said he hasn't had any conversations, so I don't know, man. You guys should bring back Ainsley Maitland-Niles and get rid of Eddie and Nketiah. They don't play the same position, but I see where you're going. I love Arteta. I loved him as a player, but he's unexpected. We need someone with experience of winning things. I didn't love him as a player. He was all right, but I mean, he wasn't certified at all. Goes to show that supposed war chest PR. So true. You got bare dead with at Arsenal. There's bare halfway crooks, halfway in, halfway out. And I call it love dramas. Make a decision. Like I said, if Ainsley turns around, goes from mad strength to strength somewhere else, then we might say it's stupid. But double down. Either come out, puff up your chest, say Ainsley's staying or Ainsley's going. Joe's staying or Joe's going. Obviously, I'm not saying come out and say it now, but you get where I'm going. I strongly hope that we don't get to the end of the window and we've still got this. because again, we need a reset. At minimum, we need players who there's less love dramas next season. Let's just talk about several things, man. Arteta stifled Ainsley Maitland-Niles really hard by bringing in Cedric as right back cover and still not playing Ainsley at midfield where he prefers. What would that tell you? Your manager, who is a midfielder, was not in his days not playing you. He don't rate you. How highly do you rate Ainsley Maitland-Niles? I effing love Ainsley Maitland-Niles, man. Effing love the guy. He's adaptable. He's cool under pressure. I think all that he needs to do is develop a midfield role. What are you? I think your thing is the box-to-box sort of thing. You need to improve your end product because I don't think you're ever going to be a goal-scoring midfielder, but you need to be a bit more competent. I think he could be utilised in the squad at right back and centre mid. I rate him very highly. Do I think he's of the level of Saka and Smith-Rowe in terms of ceiling? Of course not, but I love him. He doesn't really have any attributes to play midfield. That's a bit harsh because he does. He's got legs, which again, me, I don't praise someone for running around in midfield, but that's a bare minimum. He can play. He can play. He has got a range of passing when he wants to. He's just not going to do it consistently, for me anyways, to the level of being a midfielder. Think he could be a bit more proactive. I think he's got the raw tools, but I just don't think it's going to happen here, man. I do think he could be a really top fullback, and to a degree, Ainsley needs to be a bit ferocious in the fact of, at the end of the day, whether I want to be a midfielder or not, and if he wants to go somewhere else and do that, but where would I be if I didn't play fullback? I wouldn't have all these appearances. I wouldn't be in England international, Again, it could have been different, but I never heard this under Wenger when he was playing there, He needs to buy into it. He needs to realize that it's real life. All right, cool. You know what? I'm going to do up this right back thing. Let me do it. Lock it down. There might come a decision, a choice where Arteta will remember I'm a midfielder. Or can I have an honest conversation with Arteta? Man's a midfielder, but I'll do it right back. But can I get an opportunity when the time comes? If Arteta says no, then it's down to you to decide if I want to be a top fullback or I want to go elsewhere. You've only got one life to live. Life is short. A footballer's career is shorter. So if Ainsley wants to play midfield and he believes he can do it, either here or elsewhere, follow your heart. But I'd say make an informed decision. I'd also say numbers don't lie. For as much as Arteta has probably promised or told you and would probably tell you if you get your meeting, numbers don't lie. Look at the amount of bodies that are playing right back. Consider that a right back couple might leave, because you could arguably say the club should probably bin Cedric if we're not going to use him. But some might stay. Midfield, yes, there's openings being opened up, but how many people are going to play? It's going to be Partey and somebody else ahead of you. You're not playing in the 10. So you've got to make an educated guess, man. I'm going to try and find that actually. Arteta, Maitland-Niles can play box to box, because I remember he gassed it. And I think he's got that. I don't know, man. He's got that pep thing about him, Arteta, for me. In that, sorry for that, people. Why is it freezing? He's got that Arteta pep thing for me, in that when he gasses and overdoes it with somebody, then he doesn't play them. Or that's just how I see it, anyways. Well, yeah. So I can't find. I'll have to bring it tomorrow or something, people. But there was some. How to make it make sense? I remember his comments on Ainsley Maitland-Niles in a press conference, man. Maitland-Niles, Arteta press conference. But he literally said he could play box to box. It was like he said something like, I can play a 6, I can do this and that. And I also remember, to be fair, Arteta said he wants specialists in roles as well. I haven't really seen that, because if you want specialists, you don't throw Smith-Rowe randomly false 9. You don't throw many of the bewildering decisions he's done, Willian in certain roles. But he did big up Ainsley Maitland-Niles' adaptability, man. BG, I noticed that that Aubameyang's form dipped off when Ainsley Maitland-Niles stopped being selected. There might be something in that, but I don't think the two are interlapted. I don't think Aubameyang's dip in form, as much as they're cool off the field, has anything to do with it personally. Totally agree, DG. My point highlights Arteta's poor man management. I'd like to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles at Norwich. Man management should be better from Mikel, and I do feel bad for Ainsley. And I think whether you rate Ainsley Maitland-Niles or not, it isn't nice, innit? It isn't nice. There's too many players that are undecided in what they're doing. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a bit underrated, but if this is his attitude, then he's got to go. I mean, what's wrong with... I mean, to be fair with you, all he said is he wants clarity. You know, there's smarter ways of going about it, but I don't think it's anything with attitude, really and truly. The man's tried to fight. You know, he tried to fight last season in the first half of it, and he weren't playing for whatever reason. Whether he's doing something in training, maybe he needs to up it in training, or maybe the manager just don't rate him, man. Ainsley Maitland-Niles stayed and said he wants to be centre mid. When he plays right or left back, he looked unhappy, unbothered, and looked like he didn't try. Arteta did him wrong. I don't agree with he looked unbothered or unhappy or didn't try. I don't think that's the case, but fair play if that's what you believe, Tino. I think that's harsh. I think that's a bit of a personal agenda against Ainsley. Big facts, DG. These young players are too comfy at Arsenal and believe all the gas the coaches tell them. I didn't say all of them. I just feel, you know, you've got to stop being naive at some point and remember these men don't care about you. They care about what you do. It's like you lot don't care about me. You care about the fact that I talk about football and you either disagree, agree, or whatever. I provide some sort of value. You don't care about me. You care about the service I'm offering. It's same like you lot at your jobs. Your manager doesn't care about you. He cares about what you offer. At some point, this is where life goes. To be fair, I did think people were overdoing the Martinelli one, but I do agree didn't play him enough at all. He didn't want to play for us that bad, bro, if he's still worrying about where he's playing. I mean, to be fair, he wasn't even getting selected at fullback once upon a time, and he was only getting chances at left back when he was injured. A man's allowed to play where he wants. I do hear you, but we got to be a bit sensible, Peter, man, and that's not fair on any player. Really and truly, if he sees himself as a centre mid and wants an opportunity, there he's within his rights to do such. We've got man like Guendouzi with potential, and he can't deal with him now selling for peanuts. Exactly, man. At some point, I think it's a bit of Gareth Southgate prefect vibes in that anyone who answers back, you're out. You know, could you imagine, bro? You've got to be able to handle strong person. It just feels like safe people pick safe people in that Chambers is safe. Nene is safe, and you're picking your former teammates at that. You're not picking guys that have something to say about things, man. In my opinion, anyways. And the one players he was given chance after chance after chance after chance, they let you down, and half of them are trying to go, man. I don't think Joe saw both his brothers getting released as a motivation. Chris left for what it's worth. He was offered a deal and went Benfica. I just think the penny finally dropped for Joe in that, I need to start getting gassed off playing the occasional Europa League and them things there. If I want to develop, I need to do what I need to do. The man is frustrated. Wolves came in for him, denied the move. Man tried to fight for his career. I mean, to be honest, you can't keep someone above their will, innit? Let's be real. Although I agree with you, the club didn't put a gun to Ainsley Maitland-Niles' head. You know, he could have left, but he's listened to what Arteta or somebody said. Now, that's their fault for lying to him, but it's his fault for believing it. He should have said, nope, thank you for playing me in the Community Shield. I need to go play football now. I need to. But he didn't, because he thought, you know what, well, Arteta's full season, it is what it is. These things happen in football. It happens all the time at all clubs. I'm pretty sure some fans support other clubs and they have their own stories. So it is what it is, man. It's a very interesting one, man. And clearly, you know me, I'm passionate about these youth players, man. He needs to seize his future. All of them seize your future. In the present day as well, where young players maybe moving a bit more on from Ainsley Maitland-Niles are just pawns in the club's arsenal. They don't care. These clubs don't care about you. They don't care about you. You know, there'll be other talented players. You're just a pawn. Seize your future. And this go even people at academy level. I see it all the time. How many times have you seen a talented player? He's got a year left. He signs a new deal. They lie to him about first team opportunities and whatnot. Couple of years he's released. Kyle Scott of Chelsea comes to mind, whether he was levels or not. Don't have a proactive future. Because for me, whether, Ainsley might leave and it's the wrong decision. But if I want to leave or I want to stay, you want to do it because you do it. I would want to look back at the end of my career and say, this happened, successful failure for me. It weren't other person's thing. Be proactive. Take chances. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You've got one career. It needs to be proactive. Seize your feet, and that goes for all these young players. Even Balogun, don't let them gas you. Don't let Arteta gas you about you're the future, you're this, that. You probably are. I hope you are. But look at the maths. 40 games next season. If Lacazette and Aubameyang stay, I hope you get football. But are you getting substantial football? Is that enough to probably develop to the top level? Only time will tell. But don't let them sell dreams to you. You know, because it's Arsenal's proactive now. Now we've got Balogun tied to a new deal. He might become the next guy. He might not. We've got him tied. Who cares? Balogun might come. I hope it works out. But if it doesn't, he might think, what would happen if I went to a Stuttgart or whatever? Don't let them lie to you, you know. Don't let them lie to you. And sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. You know, and that goes for these young players that you see me do interviews with, that you see me chat with them. You know, they've got us. It's everybody. You know me, I care about you football. So they need to be proactive in sealing their futures, man. And you look at it now. Look at Jadon Sancho. Everyone's not the same, but the same premise. Sometimes moving makes it wrong. Is wrong. But for me, if I move and the signing and the move doesn't work out, I would be cool with that because I wanted to. The club didn't force me nowhere. I wasn't kept against my will. I did that because I did that. Success or failure. And I think too many footballers, young ones, for a period in their careers, they just go through life not being proactive, listening to the sweet nothings being whispered in their ears and whatnot. And then ultimately, they are surprised when something hasn't happened. Seize your future, sign yourself. You know, you see these young players. This is why I rate these young players now. Sancho could have joined, you know, there's bare young players that have joined Borussia Dortmund and it didn't work. Sancho could have left for Borussia Dortmund, Jadon Sancho, and it might not have worked out. People would have said, why didn't you stay under Pep and this and that? That weren't his story. His story weren't the same as Phil Foden. He saw an opportunity, he grabbed it, you know. It is what it is. Seize your futures, though, man. Don't, up until a point, don't let them lie to you. For me, if I get to 18 to 20 years of age and it's looking a bit iffy, then I'm keeping it moving, if I'm honest with you lot. But that's just me, man. Love the passing, DG. Come on, man. You know I love the youth footballers, man. DG cares more for the youth than Arteta does. DG for Hayland under 23s. Hey, to be fair, Arteta does care for them, you know. You might not see it. He does care for them. I'm telling you that on authority. Like, he does care for them. But there's caring and then there's having the balls to play them. No real good player wants to play for Arteta. It's a career downgrade for them. Fair enough. Exactly. Angel Gomez. United weren't rating his thing. Now, look. Seize yourself. Sign yourself. But DG, though, don't you think he'll be sold anyways? I personally think he's gone. I thought this move, I didn't think we'd see this Ainsley Maitland-Niles interview. I thought changing he already had one eye on leaving anyways. He changed agents. You don't change agents unless you want to move or you feel one agent's able to offer you something that the other wasn't. We heard there was some commercial reasons behind that. Obviously, he was getting call-ups for England around them times there. But you don't change agents. This isn't come overnight. This has been the last couple of years for Ainsley. Yeah. So he's known this is a thing. Last summer, he was on moving. You know, you didn't move. So the thought should have been there. Cool. The manager said you're going to play. First half of the season, it's a bookie one. He lied to you. You've then moved. I'm sure I speak for everyone when we thought that move to West Bromwich Albion. Yeah, us Hayland enthusiasts, we had small hope that he'd return. And I still hope he does and he plays and it goes on. My small hope is that somehow I wake up. The beef has been blessed with Guendouzi. The beef has been blessed with Matteo Guendouzi. The beef has been blessed with Maitland. You know, who else? Guendouzi, Maitland, Torreira now wants to stay. I want all these men at the club, people. But same way, that's not how the cookie crumbles, people. You know, so he's known he wants to move. I'm pretty sure we all thought, cool, the move to West Brom, you know what, go and show your stuff, put yourself in the shop window. If West Brom stay up, they might take you on a permanent, or the other Premier League clubs will have a look at you, which we've heard recently, Wolves and Palace are still onto him, as well as Southampton and these sort of clubs there. 353 of you hit the like button. So I would have thought that move would be to put you in the shop window. Sure, I would have thought with one eye, you know, open, you got to focus on the season. But that last half of the season where he was at West Brom, I would have thought he's thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm putting myself in shop window. I've got hope that Arsenal play me and use me and stuff, but I'm putting myself in the shop window. Talking to my agent, yo, have you spoken to any middlemen on behalf of clubs? Is that club interested in me? Cool. I beg you, set up a meeting with Arsenal because I need to know their plans for me. I wouldn't mind staying and playing there. If they ain't got plans for me, then I'm moving. You get where I'm going with that. So that's where I'm at with that, man. And this is where the advisors come into things as well. I'm not saying he hasn't got a good agent. I'm just saying sometimes it's not a coincidence. Sometimes you lot will see a player, and I know you've all seen it because we talk about it. How's he got to move there? How's he doing this? And another player, why in his career? Sometimes you're only as good as the agent, you know, whoever can finesse a move for you. You know, it's not always that, but sometimes it comes down to that. And I think within the COVID market, all these agents are going to have to show that they're levels. And if I'm Ainsley Maitland-Niles, bro, I'll say to my agent, what am I paying you for? Why am I again? You got to remember, agents have friends. Is it unbeknownst to believe that an agent has a journalist friend at the Telegraph set up an Ainsley Maitland-Niles and him meeting to indirectly put pressure? If that's what they did, then cool, fair enough. But I'd say to my agent, I'm not being funny. What am I paying you for? Like, what am I paying you for? Like, with respect, what am I paying you for? You know, I'm paid to be a footballer, manager / agent after managing it. You're meant to look after my interests. You know, just from not even being an agent, just from looking at my season and looking at my Arsenal career, you should already be knowing what we're trying to do in the summer, or the questions that I, as a client, if I'm Maitland, need to be answered. Only time will tell if they taking heed of these things, people. We'll have to see. Anyways, though, I'm very proud of the fact that there's 300 odd of you locked in. Please make sure you're hitting that like button, people. Where are we at in terms of likes? 182. So let's move closer to 200. That's our goal for the day, people. Feels like when we have Gnabry, Ox and Walcott, we all know that Walcott should have left, but we chose to let Gnabry go, and look what happened. And again, sent Gnabry on a rubbish loan, playing him 23s, you know. Bayern Munich has said to him, in 2 years, you're going to play first team. We're going to house you at Bremen or wherever he went. You're going to go Hoffenheim on loan, and then you're gone. Do you get it? You get it? Ox is a bit different, guys. Thing didn't bang. Willock show class at Newcastle this season. One of the better players for the Maggies. Big up DG. Man's got good content. Jake, I appreciate that. And that's why Joe Willock isn't in this situation. His Joe Willock's one is different. He's saying, oh, should I stay? I want to play for Arsenal. Do I go back? Oh, I like what Newcastle is doing. There might be other clubs interested in me. You know, they're talking about Joe. You know, there was a question about, before the season finished, you know, Arteta had pure questions to answer about Joe. You know, Ainsley, you're out of sight, out of mind to a degree. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a quality baller. Arteta seems to have faith in the wrong players. Paul, I appreciate that. It was just, Paul and a couple of you. I know a lot of you care, but generally, I'm just making the point. Nobody cares. It's what you do. You know, we've all got sub stories. The man is frustrated. Wolves came in for him, denied the man. The Muse man's trying to fight for his career. Let's keep a bit of perspective. I agree with you, but he's 23. You know, you ain't got to be the finished article. But like Wenger said, you should be arriving. I'm sorry, but 23, we shouldn't be talking about, are you a left, are you a right back, are you a midfielder, whatever. You should be a midfielder able to play fullback, or a fullback able to play there. You should kind of be coming into your own now. And this is where, for me, for him to come into his own, he probably needs to keep it moving. I badly want him to stay. Like I said, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Joel Willock, Matteo Guendouzi, completely different. But Torreira, I think they should all be part of the squad. But as you lot all know, there's been many different, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone save me. Little twists and turns and politics, which have led to, obviously, finding ourselves where we're at right now. So, yeah, it is what it is in that regards. Hey, love for that 868. It was just a comment, man. It's just a comment. Would you keep Willock? I want to keep Willock, but I'm open to selling him. If selling Joe means I'm able to find put money towards number 10, or a more established, more rounded, more developed, more experienced number 8, then I think we've got to be cruel to be kind. But admittedly, I want to sell other man before Joe. I think he could be used in the squad. Where it's a bit political for Joe, though, is like Joe might sit there and go, do you know what? I hear that, but I might only be third choice at best. You want to bring in a midfielder or a couple. Am I going to get game time? It's all fun and games playing me, but I want to play on a regular. I want to feel important in the team. And I'm sure Arteta will move heaven and earth to do such. But yeah, man, it's one of them ones there. I would keep him. But again, if people need to be sold to raise funds, then you got to look at the Halem boys. Take notes from Martinez. Wanted to compete for Argentina spot, so he went to Villa to get guaranteed game time. I think Martinez is a bit different, bro. I think they said to Martinez, you're not playing, bro. Like, I think they said, I think Martinez, I have Martinez down better yet as a fighter. We all do. Man's a serious fighter. He's a fighter. You know, he's been fighting for his career for time at Arsenal. If you've been fighting for like 10 years for an Arsenal career, you finally got a hand on it, sorry. You're finally doing your thing. Why are you gonna leave? I don't think Arteta said, you know what, may the best man win. You and Leno, I like you both. Only you, it's you up to you if you want to be first or second choice goalkeeper. I think both of them would have said, all right, cool, bet. We're on that. But and Martinez would have relished that. I think it was made abundantly clear to Martinez, you're not the cup thing is your thing. You might get opportunities like last year, but Leno's my number one. And you can see the problem with doubling down on one guy like that. I mean, when it was Courtois and Czech, at least other teams, they run it for a year. Let someone get dismayed, you know. And lo and behold, Martinez going from strength to strength. Leno owes you nothing. Says, I want to, you know, one career to last and that. Leno says, I want to keep it moving, you know. And now suddenly, pardon my language, you're pissed because, you know, who are you going to bring in if Leno keeps it moving? You know, we've been linked with Onana, but at the end of the day, he's got the little band thing going on. So what's going on there? What is going on there, really and truly? It's boy, like really. It's an interesting one, man. Some interesting comments coming. I appreciate that. But you're right. Seize yourself. I personally would sell Joe Willock ASAP, and it's one of them where only hindsight is going to say it, Professor. If Joe starts scoring goals again, oh yeah, we told you not to sell him. If he has a shaky one, why didn't we sell him? You know, a lot of people that are, and again, you can be improved wrong. I'm not speaking about the general football fan that is open to being proved wrong and right and open-minded. I'm talking about the man that scream, he's not good enough. Joe Willock, not good enough. The same man are crying about him going out on loan. The same man would cry about selling him. As much as I want to keep him, arguably, sometimes you would probably say there's never been a better time to sell Joe, Chambers, El Nene, Lacazette, 2 of the 4, all 4, one of them. You know, I don't know. Renaissance, sadly. EG, do you think Eck would keep Arteta as a manager? Do you think Vieira or do you think Henry or Vieira rate Arteta? Truthfully, I don't think so because I wouldn't if I was them. But at the same time, he's better than both of them because he's won a trophy. Them and they are the shit managers. Pardon my language. I mean, if he took over tomorrow and based on what's happened and whatnot, then there's every reason to clip him. But who knows if he kept him, Eck would probably say, you know what, I'm going to surround you with experience. You've got this season. If you fail, it's really your fault why you failed, you know, because as much as Arteta has succeeded or failed at some things, we're talking about Kroenke, we're talking about people above him, we're talking about squads that he's inherited. As all the luxuries where I think he can be afforded excuses, some I don't think can stand a chance. But you get it. I think personally, he either would put more pressure on him or he would either surround him with more experience or he'd sack him. Basically, you just see more of a proactive thing. And maybe you would see a better Arteta in that regards because they say, you know what, you want to play Willian ahead of Nelson, Martinelli, Pepe? Why? Why are you keeping the £72 million man out? Why have you played 37 different formations and lineups in 38 games? You know, why did you want to sign Willian? You know, suddenly when you start asking man to answer for things, not just him, everyone has to pull it up because it seems like sins go unanswered for at this football club. You know, mistakes happen. I'm not saying every man are not going to make mistakes. Mistakes happen, but it just seems like there's no accountability. You've got an owner that you don't see anywhere, and you've just got people free to their own devices to make decisions. What might be good for their ego might not necessarily be good for Arsenal Football Club. I don't know, man. But that's a good timestamp. Do you think Daniel Ek would keep Arteta as Arsenal manager? Great timestamp. I'm gonna clip that up as well. But I think he would initially. But like I said, when you look at it, there's reasons. If I'm just looking at it, if I own the football club, my first thing, if I own the football club, would probably be Arteta. You got to get sacked. I know there's a lot of luxuries to afford you, but 8th to 8th, 37 different lineups. Arguably, you've made the job of improving our attack harder than it needs to be. Yeah, you've locked down the defensive aspect to a degree and done a bigger than things, but you ain't really evolved based on what you had in your closed part of the season. And I think the preseason excuse is valid, but I don't really buy it because everybody's had the same thing in the Premier League. You know, you can't really cry about something if everybody's had it. And no matter what, we're the 9th best scoring team in the league. I don't think Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, they're world beaters. But let's be real. Anyone that understands football, you don't want to play against them. Same way there's bare teams I wouldn't want to play against if I'm a fullback. Why are we not scoring goals? West Ham have more goals than us. Have they got better attackers, or is there an element of it coaching? So he would have to answer these things, and you might see a better Arteta, because I think he's, as much as he's inexperienced, he's not surrounded by experience, and there's too much freedom in his own devices to make silly mistakes, not learn from mistakes. You should always, as a novice or anyone, no one at this football club should be afraid to make mistakes, just like in life. But it's about improving, and I'm not saying he doesn't want to improve. I just don't see I don't see an owner who's, if we've done something shaky, if he's done something bewildering, like in the semi-final of the Europa League, saying, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you play false nine? Why didn't you go with Martinelli or even a Pepe who's played as a false nine before? Why did you go with Smith Rowe? Suddenly, if you have to answer these things, you stop doing dumb things. I do think a lot of complacency has crept into Arteta's game because there's no real pressure on that job beyond the obvious. So yeah, man, that's a fantastic. Yeah, shout out to you, Anthony. That was a fantastic one there. So that's what I believe, my guy, innit? Like, love for that, man. Just like that, in a day and age where it's difficult to find content, people, you've probably just found me an extra video there. So shout out to you, Anthony, man. Shout out to you. BG, what if we use him as part of the Neves deal since they already wanted him before? Probably, but it's the problem with that is where do we rate him? Because I would sit there if I'm Arsenal and say, yo, I'm not being funny. We rejected 25 million, so you rate him at 25. You're rating Neves at 35. Hold this 10 and let's go in it. If I'm Wolves, I'm not trying to hear that either, really. So probably you could look to use that same sort of logic. Would it be worth Arsenal even trying to do little, see what we can twang with Wolves and seeing if we could make more for Maitland by selling him? I don't know. Really don't know, man. And again, this is where I hope the man behind me, that not the player, the coach and the Edu and everyone have a plan. They told us they got a plan. They said they got a system. They got this and they got that and they got the third. Now we're gonna have to see it, in it. We're going to have to see it. It's as simple as that. I'm really trying to find this Ainsley Maitland-Niles can play midfield. I remember I read it on one of the live streams to you lot. Where is it, man? I can find it. Yeah. Found it, people. I found it. Obviously, this ain't the website that I saw it on, but stuff like this. So Arteta's clearly aware of what he's on. Do you get it, people? Look at it. Man said, look at it. How can you look at it? Let me zoom in a bit. So if I scroll up for you guys, Ainsley can play in various positions and do really well at fullback too. He's a very useful player with great speed, great technique, and passing ability. So for me, these two tell me you can play in midfield, but can also, he sees you as a fullback. Very useful. The terminology is not a coincidence. Like you can see here, he can play as an attacking midfielder because he's a threat every time with his runs. Why haven't you played him there? What is in his Maitland, needs to have an honest conversation and say, why didn't you see me in that role? And say, in comparison to the others, what has a Smith Rowe or Joe Willett got in that role over you? But at the same time, why hasn't the manager been brave enough to play you in that formation? Do you get it, people? Sorry, people. I just wanna timestamp this because Arteta said, he did say Maitland-Niles. I'll edit his name in a sec. Can play in midfield. So why not play him? That's it. And that tells me, this is what I mean about when I say he's doing the pep thing. When he gasses you, you don't really rate. He thinks you may be able to play as an attacking midfielder, but maybe not the one he demands. I would have thought Ainsley could do the pressing thing. Not probably as good as Joe, but it is what it is. And he's also said you can play as a holding midfielder. Now, obviously, Arteta isn't going to play him there because he doesn't have... Xhaka's not a holding midfielder, but clearly he's not able to get the ball off the centre halves and do that sort of thing. So he's not going to get a look in like that. Like you can see there, he said he makes good runs, which for me, all the first paragraph is just telling me you're playing as a fullback. He said he can play a holding midfielder. He can play a holding midfielder because he's played there a lot in his career. He's played a lot there in his career. It's good to have players that can play various positions. And sometimes, you know what, you've got You've got to relish it because you don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, but you've got to relish it. Just lock it down. At the end of the day, you're playing for Arsenal. This is what you want. Lock down the right back, lock the centre mid down. I think the problem with Ainsley became he's not getting a look in midfield and he didn't get a look in fullback. And that's the manager talking up your abilities. So if I heard the manager talking up my abilities and all of the things I said previously in when we spoke about him slightly earlier in this live stream, you know, this would tell me I need to move. But again, and obviously, I'm sure you lot remember. Let me see. Unai Emery, Maitland-Niles. Midfielder, because if again it might not be it, but if you lot remember, literally that video, do you lot remember that video when Unai Emery took over the role? When he took over the Arsenal role and he name dropped Mavropanos and Maitland-Niles, he gassed them. And man, you lot will have to find. I tried, people. You lot will have to find that one on your own backs, in it. But it is what it is in that regards, man. It is what it is. But again, that tells me the manager was a midfielder. He don't want to play you there. That's all you need to know. You know that you can always prove a man wrong. You can prove people wrong, but it's a myth. It's a myth there, really and truly. Ainsley is a great player. Hopefully, he raises his game and gets more opportunities. Facts. If we got Neves, if we got Basuma first, people would be gassed about Neves because they fear he's the only centre mid signing. I'm not too sure on that, but fair play. Why is this freezing? People, why is this thing freezing now? I think my laptop is telling me I need to update this. What else have we got? Big up South Sudan in the building. Haven't seen any time that's been said before. James, I appreciate that. Difficult to find top tier content unless you're subscribed to DG. I appreciate that, man. Man said, nice response, but I think one of the reasons Ek wants to buy Arsenal is because the Kroenke's employed Arteta. The standards for most fans dropped since he was appointed. Anthony, come on now, man. They might have criticism. He might get rid of Arteta and things, but you know, you don't think it's because Arsenal are steadily falling away. You don't think it's just the fact that he's a fan and he saw this. You think he simply wants to buy Arsenal Football Club. The one thing that tipped him over the iceberg and not to get involved in this months prior is because Mikel Arteta is the manager. Fair play, my guy. Keep running up the likes. Would you rather the board are shrewd with their signing and give mostly youth a chance, cut price signings and young players rather than? I don't know what that means, but I want the right players. The right players don't have to be first choice quality, don't have to be world class. They just need to be good players. I want big money signings. I want shrewd additions. I want the right additions. You know, too often than not, when Arsenal have signed a man, apart from Partey, because the release clause, you can't do any worse, we haven't got fair deals. Generally. I don't think Osei Tutu is going to get a chance in the first team. I think that's gone, but I hope I'm wrong. I think he'll leave the club this summer. We haven't got Matt Ryan. He doesn't play for us. He's on loan. Well, he was on loan from Brighton. Hopefully, we can get him back because I wouldn't mind him as second choice. But right now, you don't even know who the keeper is, man. Big up everybody locked in, man. If he doesn't get us top 4 next season, then he has to go. By December, it will look a lot more clear. And I'd say if he's not in the race for it and there's no system of playing, then he needs to go. Because I don't think Arsenal missed out on top 4 because teams are mad better than us. We dropped stupid points on top of that. But less of that top 4 and all of that sort of stuff. Best YouTuber in the world. I appreciate that. Not sure on that, but I appreciate that, man. We spoke about Sabitzer in the last live stream, but again, that's pennies. 15 million should be done, but it's boring, man. Considering how the fan base has reacted to Neves rumors, how would you react if we signed Douglas Luiz? I don't know how other fans have reacted to Neves, but I'm on that. If we was to sign Douglas Luiz, I'm on that. He's a good player. You know, you saw I really started to take him in a bit better at Toulon. I'm sure he was in Spain on loan, and he's done relatively well at Aston Villa. And there was rumors City would buy him back. Clearly, the rumors weren't strong enough. But it is what it is. in that regard. Signed Julian Brandt, wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't be first choice, but wouldn't mind it at all. Where are we at for likes, people? 239. Let's get to 300. I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you very much for people that are pulling their weight, man. Neves is meant to be slow, bro. He could be as long as his positioning is spot on, his calm, man. Spoke about him before. I'm sure he played in the three at the back. That Baku guy is very decent. Right back, the German youth international. Decent, but it all depends how we're going to use him, man. Edie said Sabitzer, Awa, Hakan. You know, I can't say his last name, but which order do you rate them, bro? Awa first, Sabitzer second, and so on. Matt Ryan's going back. If you're lying, I'm going to block you. Sorry, Broski, but if you're gassing, you're getting blocked. Matt Ryan, Arsenal. Where is it? I can't see nothing yet, bro. Yeah, it looks like you're selling dreams, brother. It looks like you were selling dreams, bro. So, yeah, you're getting that clip real quick because you was gassing it. Yeah, we've been linked with Barella. We'll cover that tomorrow, but I wouldn't mind Barella. But that one there, it's a myth, man. Like, it's a myth. We're not getting Barella, bro. That's big money. I would love it. Italian, brings that Italian passion. Bloody good midfielder. We wanted him. I did a video when he was linked, when he was at Calahigri. Would love him, but we're not going to do it, man. Demon time. Yo, DG, love the content, bro. What do you think about Conte coming to Arsenal? I reckon Eck wants to appoint him if he purchases Arsenal. Wishful thinking. I think in terms of being a winner, he'd be the right manager. But in terms of bringing through the academy and all those sort of things, I don't think Conte's the right man. That being said, I would love him. But again, for me, with the current ownership, Conte would be a disaster, not through Conte. But Conte, I genuinely see him as a man of integrity. If you bring him into this club and you lie to him and you don't give him what he wants, bro, he will quit the same day you lie to him. If the transfer window ends and you lied to him and you didn't do stuff, he's going to draw you out in a press conference and he's going to keep it moving. You know, he's serious, and it would be lovely if he came and demanded things. It is what it is. Let's be serious. If you're expecting Arteta to get you top for, you are deluded. I mean, if you're going to abuse other people's opinions, please spell correctly. You know, you can believe that it's impossible for Arsenal to get top four. But again, if you go based on last season, you know, my personal opinion is top four was there, regardless of how crap the team was. You know, he didn't perform in many aspects. But I mean, you know, that's not an excuse, you know, to just sit back and die. We don't need to belittle, I assume, people in the live chats opinions, you know. We don't try and do that around here. Big up all the Luxembourg crew. I appreciate that. DG, keep up the contents, getting me through my afternoon. I appreciate that. Sabitzer would be a smart signing, but we all know Arsenal don't do smart things. Mad. A man said Unai Simon or Nana. But you know what? I don't rate too many keepers, and the keepers I rate, we can't get. I don't like these new age keepers, in my opinion. There's not really a lot of them, and the ones I had that I do rate, they're top level, man. They're saying allegedly 17.5 he could be available for. Sabitzer, that is, if you don't know who I'm referring to. It could be. Well, obviously, it would be a business. There is obviously, you know, Daniel Ek isn't just buying this club because he's an Arsenal fan and he wants to do this and that. There are some selfish and probably reasons for him buying it. And obviously, Spotify, a big football club in the Premier League, there are business opportunities from that. There's nothing wrong actually with that. He means he's returning to Brighton. I didn't read it as that, but you know what? Unblocking someone, but bro, you can't be selling dreams. Can't be doing that, man. Sorry, Mr. Epic, if you're out there, if that's what you meant. But boy, can't be selling dreams, man. I unblock him. I didn't know he was talking about the loan ending, man. Someone unblock him. Moderators unblock him, man. Apologies, but I thought you were selling dreams, man. We need to get Basuma, man, but it's not gonna happen. Shout out my Kenyan ones. No worries, Mr. Epic, man. You're back. Love for that, moderators. Peter, I think you're the one who got on that case. It's nice to know you weren't selling dreams, man. More chances of Grealish. I think there's slightly more chances of Barella, but they're in the same sort of ballpark. Facts. Man said, welcome back. I probably would. Probably end up with scoring. To be fair, Spurs were onto him, and Spurs could do a lot worse than signing him, in my humble opinion. We both teams could, in my opinion, do a lot worse, people. So it is what it is in that regards, people. It really is. You know what else you lot got to say? We know we're not getting them. Someone's just pointing humor, man. If you can't have a bit of fun, what's the point? Pardon me. Jermaine, I do think we have money, but I do think we need to spend 100. The squad ain't good enough for top 4. 100, Mac. No worries in that regards, man. Just, let's just try to do the respectful thing, because in a day and age where everyone's onto each other, is always fresh home, man. You got recalled for no reason, you got remanded for no reason. Charges are dropped, man. Charges are dropped. But I missed the Epic. Apologies, man. I thought you were selling dreams. You know me, I like Matt Ryan. So that was gonna put a smile on my face to know that Matt Ryan is gonna be our number 2. So I thought that was Arsenal's bit of business, but it is what it is. We move in it. We move. Sorry for misinterpreting. And shout out to everyone who clocked up to what he was trying to say, or we'd have a DG Nation member birded for no reason. One love from Jamaica. Shout out to my JA Tugs. But Steve Bruce got more out of Willock than Arteta, so sack Arteta now. Fair play. No worries. Would you take Lo Celso? Nope. Fairly decent player. Do you think Arsenal will have a good transfer window? Bro, I wish I could honestly tell you. I don't know. I really don't know. DG has a soft spot for Matt Ryan. Guys, Meaty, if you ask me, used Meaty for the last time. I like Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan is what we need in the sense of it's all running games having the first team players are 30, but just knowing Matt Ryan is training and doing these things, he's being serious, just knowing he's good for the young players. Actually, like Gabriel, he speaks to Gabriel in Portuguese and helps him. I just think Matt Ryan echoes what I want to see, just being seriousness. I wouldn't say Matt Ryan's meaty. I don't think he's amazing, but we could definitely do worse in terms of number 2s and have done worse, again. So, yeah, I wouldn't say soft spot. I've got a soft spot for people who don't give me no problems. And Matt Ryan, in his small opportunities, ain't giving me no problems. All this Sabitzer talk would prefer in QQDG. You're right about Pepe Metasar. Kid has a bright future, bro. That's who Arsenal should be buying. But, they're not going to do it. Witness statements were considered. Remember when Arsenal were used to signing unknown gems who turned into beasts? What happened to that type of recruitment? We got lazy, innit? Complacent. Started trying to do everything and doing nothing. Stop having a clear vision. Many things. That's to why we're here. Vexed. Absolutely vexed. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. We keep moving. Man. Would love DePaul, but he's out of our reach at the moment. Allegedly, I swear, I just saw some. Well, not just saw. A couple of weeks ago, I saw some rumors that he's going. What's that team again? Atletico. So, boy, it is what it is in that regards. DG, why does this club love off Odegaard? Surely we can acquire creative players with more output. Bro, well, if you're not going to put the money down for Aouar, if you're not going to put the money down for Buendia, if you're not going to find 100 million for Grealish, which isn't going to happen, and things of that ilk, it's a madness. We still sign gems. We just don't play them. I'd say for me, don't play them, don't know how to utilize them. It's all fun and games signing Saliba, Gabriel, these sort of man, but you need to know how to polish them. We used to be able to do that. That's evaded us now, if you ask me humbly. But it is what it is, firmly in that regards. 258 likes. Let's keep progressing, people. Let's keep progressing. Saul Niguez. Saul for 40 million euros. Would love it, but that one there is a myth. Let me see if there's any other transfer speculation and rumors and all of those sort of things. I'm sure I sent myself some on Twitter. Let me click on this. Sorry, people. Let me click on that one. Give me a sec, people. I'll pattern it for you. One sec, my people. One sec, my people. We'll be with you shortly. What does that say? Slash Barella transfer links. Sorry, folks. I'll be with you in a sec. Not even technical difficulties. I'm just trying to pattern it up. DG, you think we'll wait till Xhaka and a few others are gone before we see incomings? I think yes and no, man. We should be needing to do it anyways, but I do think, obviously, how can you really bring in players with our sort of situation when you haven't dealt with Xhaka, you haven't dealt with all of these people? You know, it is what it is. We know Grealish isn't joining Arsenal. Let's calm it down. Can't we have some humour? Bloody hell, you lot are too serious, man. Jeez. If you're thinking about spending around 50 million for Odegaard, then surely we can add more money to that and go for Grealish. 50. Oh, okay. So now I know it's coming, bro. 100 million for Grealish, not for Arsenal. You know, you can't go Selfridges if you can't. Right now, we ain't got time to be buying clothes. We need to take ourselves to Lidl, Aldi, or Asda and making sure there's food in our fridge. Food being the spine of this team. Who is going to play with Partey? When you're paying your bills and you've got you've built up an income and bills aren't really a problem and you've got a little money to spend, then you can go Selfridges and buy yourself if you're a girl, a nice designer handbag or some shoes or a watch or whatever. For me, that's Grealish. Grealish is a luxury man. These guys are only going to be amazing if the squad is patterned. If Aston Villa's team was as disastrous as ours in all aspects, even though they finished below us, Grealish ain't doing F all. Like, it's a madness. It's absolutely a madness. I think Saliba is sharing the same sentiments as Maitland-Niles, but I don't know, man. Well said. Polishing gems used to be our identity, bro. And this it, bro. It's all fun and games having Saliba. How are you going to improve him? Because he's got to improve in the air, his positioning, all of these sort of things. You know, Joe Willock. How are you going to? You've seen that he can score goals. How are you going to improve that and make him a goal scoring midfielder? And also what he needs to do above that, because he's still a bit raw if he stays. How are you going to take even Saka and Smith Rowe to the next level? Martinelli, how are you going to make him that striker? This is the thing, you know, because they're not the same, but this is where we was at with, and I know injuries and things played a part, but for years, this is the same trail of thought as why we found ourselves saying 1 minute Walcott's a striker, then he's a winger. The man used to say it himself. Ox, is he even towards the end of his career became a fullback at Arsenal, much less a centre mid and then a winger, and Ramsey, and there's been many players of that ilk sort of thing, people. You lot get it. Moving away from that though and looking at some of the transfer stuff though, again, are you lot gonna help me out with translating that to Italian? Safe Google. Google have translated it from Italian to English, and now I can actually read it. All crazy about Barella, but Inter have a plan to lock him down. Atletico, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and 3 big English players on the midfielder, who, however, is the pivot of the I'm going to say Nerazi Inter Milan project. Soon we'll talk about the adjustment. Oh well, once you hear some of them names, you can forget about it. It's a myth. The list of suitors gets longer by the day, especially now that the heaviest benches on the continent have rearranged. Let's take Real Madrid. Again, it doesn't say, I'm not going to read it all out because clearly there's a lot of tosh from the article, but it said there, Atletico, Bayern Munich, Arsenal. Well, to be fair, Spurs have put themselves there, so I feel a bit more at home. And Liverpool are there already. Apparently, Bayern Munich were ready to offer 70 million. when Inter Milan took him for 40. And again, they're going to want a little bit of profit. Now, I'm sure you see Hakimi for 60. You could probably get Barella for around the same price, really. So it could be done, but it's a myth, people. It's a myth. He's 24 years of age. I'm sure he's the jewel in their crown, the jewel in their crown. They don't want him to let him go. The age he's at, the passion he has, the scope to get better. I can't see it happening, man. You know, he's such an amazing player, but I can't see it happening. You know, he's contracted until 2024. You know, he only earns 2.5 million a year, though, so it could be better, but you know, you can just forget about it. Like, we just know it's nonsense. You know, we know we're not going to get him. I'd love to sit here and say we're going to get him, but we're not, are we? So make of that what you will. It is what it is. Ow, I don't know why I was there, because there's no actual hour links, but it is what it is in that regard. So there's that. Removing this and getting back to you. If only Ozil was still amazing. We'd love that. What else are you looking? Hey, man, why can't I? I didn't say I rate him above him. I said I want our, you know. I want our at this football club. Like, what's wrong with that? And I don't know if we sign these gems, and I don't know who ridiculed who. I can only speak for myself, Arthur. But yeah, man, I didn't say our was a better player or Odegaard's a better player. I swear you asked me who I'd rather. Like, for anybody, if anybody is asking about our, we spoke about them before. Hopefully, my dislike cheered you up. Standing, hey man, love for the dislike, man. Again, to your baby mother, I apologize, man. I will reply to your DM, man. I know, I don't like certain nudes. I don't like certain nudes. I like the shower ones still. So I hope that's cheered you up, man. What a loser. Any chance? Oh no, I mean, I gotta follow you. Had a mad name that he tried to do or whatnot. Arteta needs to take notice of the man management criticism and self-reflect. And again, the ego is a big thing. We can definitely reach 300 likes. Where are we? It might be an impossible task. 275. Oh, it's not that impossible. It actually can be done. Trust me. Big up C, always policing the block, making sure people are hitting that like button, man. Said a few months ago on your channel, DG, finish low in the table and our best players will want out, and we won't be able to get top players back in. Boy. That's quite upsetting. It's quite upsetting. It is what it is, though, man. It is what it is, man. He's really trying to spend 50 million on a fullback. These teams are tapped. To be fair, quality, if he's a quality player, he's a quality player. Qualities of all prices, man. So it is what it is. Thoughts on the Manuel Solomon links? I ain't got no thoughts because we're always linked with him, and it's not gonna happen, is he? He's always linked with us. More than like, it's boring. Would love Arsenal to sign Conde, but 50 million. The man wants Champions League football. It's a myth. And Mario, it would be a hit or miss. It would be a hit and miss. But they said the same about the Portuguese league last year. And what did Ruben Diaz say? Every player's presented a risk. But as long as you sign a player, you've got a system for him, there's no reason they can't thrive. You know, good players are good players. He's intelligent. He'll work, in my opinion. I don't know what Basuma is thinking, but you're right, man. Realistically, who do you think will sign? Not a clue. I wish I had answers for you, but I'm not a transfer man. I don't know. I really don't know. Do you think man management is an experience thing or part of the personality? Both, because obviously, within if you was to ask me 5 or 10 years from now, clearly Arteta's man management is going to be better. But it comes with experience and it comes with personality. I think, there's certain people I've got as friends that I've never managed, and I think they've got good man management and people management skills because they can read people. Arguably, I'm not going to say tactics and things are not important in today's day and age, because you wouldn't be a football manager without it. It is vital. It is required. But at the same time, And I'm not going to say they're less important, but I'd say man management, people skills are arguably more important, because you've got to be able to read. You know, you might be able to shout at Maitland-Niles, call him a piece of poo, to put it nicely, and he's not going to get in his feelings. But you might do that to Saka or Smith Rowe, and you've damaged them. They're not going to be levels. Certain players, they're not really, you can't really deal with them a sort of way in public, but you can chat to them in private. Certain men need that harsh love because they've been told they're special. Certain players need that arm around them. It's about reading these things, and I don't really see it from him, innit? I've seen him do it with Xhaka, to be fair. I've seen him play Willian. I can't lie, I have seen a bit of a return with Pepe, so I might give it to him. But there's also been several incidences where you thought it's a bit shaky under him. Yo, deluded, the realness, good content, bro. Love from Ghana. Shout all the Black Stars. Do you think Kroenke will sell? Bro, $1 million question. Give him something unrealistic. I don't think he's selling for the current fees that are being put forward, if that's what makes sense. Chambers, Cedric, Maitland-Niles. We don't need to spend money on a right back right now. Invest in the midfield. Dial Square, why I respect your opinion. My opinion is you need a bloody right back, because it's, again, you could throw your guy Bellerin in there as well. There's several players there, and it's not levels. You know, can I bet my life on Cedric Chambers or Ainsley Maitland-Niles 38 games and without injuries that you're my right back 9 times out of 10? Probably not. I would like to continue the Ainsley Maitland-Niles experience. Don't mind Chambers in the squad. I like him, as I've said several times. Don't know what's happened with Cedric. I do agree with you investing in the midfield, but I think right back is vital, because you look at it, you've got Tierney now, you've got Gabriel Saliba. Don't know what's going on in goal, but whether it's Onana or Leno, you'd have an okay keeper there, and then you've got a right back there. How are you meant to build any real foundations when you're doing things like that? I don't know, man. I think, bro, you don't build a house backwards. I can't lie. Right backs, for me, it's an equal priority as midfield. You don't build a house backwards. Midfield is as vital as right back. Right back is as vital as our midfield for me, anyways, man. That's just what I believe, man. Work rate is nuts. We've got nothing else, man. We've got nothing else. But I can't lie, on that note, though, man. I've been here for 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm going to keep it moving. I actually want some more lunch, people. And I wouldn't mind an ice cream because it's a nice day out there. So on that note, sorry. Nah, man, I right back. You haven't got a first choice right back. You've got a first choice left back. You need a backup left back as well, but it's a bit of a myth. But like I was saying, people, I'm gonna have to cut out now. People, I've got things to do. I'm kind of hungry now. I'll love and leave you lot till tomorrow. Any questions? You know, hold them off for 24 hours. Well, I'll be back again at 11:30 a.m. English time. So on that note, I'm out, people. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe, do the rest of it. Check out the merch. Check out all the socials. Make sure you're following across everything, especially Instagram. And on that note, I'm out.